Welcome to the Retire Mentality channel. This is a place where we want to change your mentality about retirement. We talk about entrepreneurship, real estate investing, personal finance, financial independence, a little bit about the FIRE movement. So if those are topics that interest you, you've come to the right place. And where is this strange place I am today? I've never filmed here before. This is my couch. This is where most of my work gets done. I have my laptop here at the couch. I do have a small little office over there, but I rarely go in there because it's dark. And so for today's topic, I thought my couch where my work gets done at home would be a good place to do this video. I'm not sure if you can see my face with this window behind me, but I wanted to try to shoot this like this. I have a big light set up here, and I actually have this light set up here to try to throw, let me turn this up a little bit, to try to throw a little bit more light on me. So why did I decide that I needed to shoot this on the couch today? Well, there's a new tax out there they're proposing to hit us with called the privilege tax. It's a tax for working from home. So all of the millions of people that have been sent home from their office and now are working from home, they now want to tax you for the privilege of your boss telling you to go home and get to work. So for those of you who are lucky enough to still have your job and be working from home and maybe get to spend a little bit extra time with your kids, now they want you to pay a tax for that privilege. So where would an idea like this come from? Well, the brainiacs over at Deutsche Bank did a study apparently in September and decided that the people who are working from home are just not contributing to society the way they used to with gas to drive back and forth to work and eating out in restaurants for lunch. So they've decided that a 5% tax seems fair to hit you with for the privilege of working at home. This is actually what they said about it. I wrote it down because it's a quote. They said, working from home will be the new normal well after the pandemic has passed. We argue that remote workers should pay a tax for the privilege. That's the exact quote that Deutsche Bank has. They said, so anyone making over $500,000 should pay a 5% tax. So if you make 50 grand, that's $2,500 they want to hit you with. And if you make 100 grand, that's 5 grand you got to pay just for working at home because you're not contributing to society because you lazy ass won't get off your couch and go to work. But maybe you can't even go to work. Maybe your office is closed. So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit more right now. Okay, so if Deutsche Bank's premise on this whole thing is that you're not contributing to society because you're not driving your car to and from work to go there and you're spending less on gas and you're not eating out in the restaurants, and I guess really that's probably about it, right? So let's talk about like what your extra expenses are from working from home and why this is just totally insane and why another example of why the world has lost their ever-loving minds. So I wrote some things down, so I'm going to just look at my notes. Let's see, you maybe need a bigger house. What if you live in New York City and you have a studio apartment and you have a job where it might not look professional to be sitting on the couch and doing big deals on a Zoom call? You may need to actually move somewhere. Or what if there's two of you living in a studio apartment and you and your wife or girlfriend or husband or partner or whomever both are working from home? My wife couldn't be sitting here on a Zoom call and me be sitting here on a Zoom call and trying to do business. It just wouldn't work. So you're going to maybe need a place with doors, like a 2-bedroom or a 1-bedroom where multiple people could work at the same time. So that could be an expense, not just the expense of a bigger place, but the expense of moving. And when you're home all day, I don't know if you can hear it, I have the loudest air conditioning system on the planet. But when I'm here all day, the AC runs constantly. I have the TV on or the radio on, and I'm looking in the refrigerator 100 times to see what new might have popped up in the refrigerator. So obviously my electric bill is going to be a lot higher from working from home as well. Let's see, I still have to eat. You know, the majority of people probably take their lunches to work with them. So the premise that they're eating out in restaurants doesn't make any sense. So I'm still going to have to eat lunch. It's not like I'm skipping lunch. I'm probably going to eat 5 lunches because I'm here. I have first lunch. Usually I have like first breakfast and then 2 or 3 cups of coffee and then second breakfast. Then I'll go brush my teeth, maybe do a little bit of exercise, come back, do some work. Then first lunch, then you get hungry. You got second lunch. So I'm actually probably eating more food. And this is probably part of why this looks like this. Oh, I should have mentioned in the intro, I'm in my pajamas too to make this really authentic. I haven't even gotten up and got dressed today. So this is what working from home really looks like. Let's see here. So they say you're not driving to and fro to the office, but what if you have kids that are actually in school and the school is open? Now you got to get up, drive your kids to school, and then probably you would have just went to work. But now you got to get up, drive your kid to school, drive back to your house, and then in the afternoon, get up and drive and pick your kid up and drive back. And if you have multiple kids, and so anyway, you're still probably driving, especially if you have kids. Yeah, you got to pay for your own supplies. There's no more stealing paper clips from the office. You got to pay for your own paper. You got to pay for your own ink for printing. So your office supplies are going to also increase from working from home. You're going to probably need better internet than you used to have. You're going to probably need better equipment, like a better camera or lighting, like all my little lights I showed you that I'm using here. I got a big light over here too. Or a better camera than your laptop has, a new printer, a faster computer. Maybe a backdrop if you have a crappy apartment. Maybe you don't have this beautiful window that's probably ruining my light for this video. Hopefully not. So yeah, that's pretty much what I came up with for extra expenses from working from home. So it just isn't clear to me why this privilege of, I think it's going to cost me more money to work from home. And now they want me to give away 5% of what I make just for doing so. It makes no sense. And the premise behind this, it's not just that you pay this 5% to the government and then the government gets to go spend it on whatever frivolous things the government spends it on. Oh, no. The Deutsche Bank geniuses came up with the premise that the reason that I should pay this tax is because the people that don't have the privilege to work from home should be subsidized with a $1,500 payment. Okay, not the people that don't work, the people who still get to get up and go to work and they have to either work in an office or they have to work in a restaurant or they sweep the streets or they dig the ditches or whatever they do. Those poor people, they don't have this privilege to work from home like you and I do. So that's why we're not paying the 5% to the government, we're giving it as a handout to these people who also still have their job the same as they always did and are totally unaffected by where I work. But I'm going to give them $1,500. So they think that by my 5% in the US alone, that would generate $48 billion. And then in the UK, another 9 billion in the UK and 19 billion in Germany. So this is something they want to do worldwide. So they think that the $48 billion they're going to take from me and you and the rest of us that work from home is going to go into the pocket of the people totally unaffected by where we work as a check for $1,500. That makes sense, right? Especially in 2020. Why wouldn't we do that? The next thing they're going to do is they're probably going to hit any digital nomad with it. If you are a content creator or you run marketing campaigns or you're a writer or a blogger or a vlogger or whatever, and you can work from anywhere on the planet, they're going to hit you with this thing next. The way that it stands right now, maybe I didn't make this clear before, but the way it stands now is this is supposed to just be for people who have the option to go to work. They said it two different ways and it doesn't make sense. First, they said it's for the people who have the option to go to work, but then choose to stay home. Those are the people that are going to have to pay the money. And then later in the study, they said that if the employer doesn't provide you with a desk at work, then the employer will have to pay the 5% tax. So I don't know how you can choose to stay home if your employer doesn't provide you with a desk at work anymore. So that's kind of a contradiction in what I read about this tax. And then another thing they said was, well, if you only work from home 3 days a week, well, then you only have to pay the tax based on those 3 days per week or the 5% of those 3 days. So you're going to have to now have some more accounting and you're going to have to keep track of the days you go to the office and the days you stay home so that you can pay the correct amount of tax to the people who are also working, but they're not working from home. They're working outside in the clean, fresh air. So I don't know. There's a couple discrepancies in this whole premise they've got. This is just like socialism at its finest. I don't know if it goes farther than socialism to communism to just tax me for the privilege of having a job, but to give it to the other person who has a job also. This isn't even addressing people who lost their jobs because of COVID. No. Those people they're on their own. This is for the people that still have their same job they always had. We're going to give them a little bit extra money. We're going to take it from the pockets of the people who work. So there you go. So this isn't coming from the government yet, but it's being circulated to see, I think, kind of what kind of response it gets. It's starting to get a little bit of traction. I saw it a couple of weeks ago and I see it popping up a little bit more and more as a discussion. So it's just the beginning of another power grab and another money grab. They'll start with people who have the option to go to work, and then it's going to just be everybody who works from home, and then it's going to be everybody who does work on a computer, and then it's just going to be everybody, and then we'll just call it the COVID tax, and everybody pays an extra 5% into the coffers to just as a contingency fund. Who knows? But we all know that these taxes never go away once they start. They say 72% of people, they don't want to go back to work if they had a choice. Only 12% of people would choose to go back to the office if that was a choice. So it is true. This is part of the new normal. This is your office right here is the new normal for millions and millions of people, but I don't think we should have to pay a tax for that. So let me actually give you the actual quote from the douche from Deutsche. That's what I call them. The douches from Deutsche. You like it? It's kind of clever. It's not illiterate. It's what's the word? Alliteration, not illiterate. Alliteration. Is that correct? I don't know. Leave me a comment down below. So here's what the douche from Deutsche Bank actually said. This is the quote. So again, I wrote it down. It does make sense to support the mass of people who have been suddenly displaced by forces outside of their control. Those who are lucky enough to be in a position to disconnect themselves. They actually have that in quote. So he must have done this when he was doing the quote. So those who are lucky enough to be in a position to disconnect themselves from the face-to-face economy owe it to them. So you owe it to those other people that still have their job to give them some of your money. So just more insanity from this whole thing, and it's just more proof that this is just a power grab and a money grab, and they just want to grab whatever they can. That's my 2 cents on this, or my 5% of my whatever. So I don't know what you thought about this video and what you thought about me doing a video in my pajamas from my living room on my couch. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the idea of this tax. If you think that you do owe it to the rest of the world to give them 5% if you work from home. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you know what to do. Hit the button. And if you liked this video, you also know what to do. Hit that like button down there. And when you do subscribe to the channel, or if you've already subscribed and you haven't rang the bell down there, please consider doing that so that you know every time I put out one of these videos. And the more love you give me, the more video and content I can put out for you. So thank you for watching.